What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nick Underhill from neworleans.football joining us live, getting ready for another day of camp, as Nick is one of the people behind the curtain. Right? No public camp this year for the most part, so we are relying on Nick and his journalist brethren more so than ever to let us know what's going on in Saints camp. Nick, what's going on, man? How is it California way?
Yeah, so far so good. Decent start to camp. Weather's good. No complaints. So, 6 fans aren't out here. It's kind of like low energy and a little bit different that way, but overall, I think they're getting in pretty good work so far.
So look, I got some questions I want to get to on Ramchick. I got some questions I want to get to on Tipton, on Willie Gay, on just the offense as a whole. But first, we got to start with quarterback. I don't need you to preface this with anything about how there's no pass rush, Derek Carr could still suck, whatever. Okay. Everybody, these are all truths that we all know and we recognize. Just objectively, how has Derek Carr practiced thus far?
Why you got to steal my lines, though?
Because anytime you ask anybody anything about Derek Carr, it's like they're so terrified to say that he's practicing well because what if it all goes right? Like, yes, it can go right. That's how football works. But how's he practicing?
He looks good. I mean, he's completing most of his passes. He's doing the things he's supposed to do. He's getting the ball down the field. Yesterday was kind of check down city, 5 of 7, and I think 4 of them were check downs. But I mean, that's fine. Like they're in space. Like he's getting the ball to where it needs to go, and then there's room after the catch. And I think that's a big part of this offense too. And I think that's something that people kind of gotta get used to. You look at Brock Purdy. I mean, it's check down city, but those check downs are going for like 6-7 yards.
It's what Willie Snead talked about. Willie Snead talked about it with y'all on your pod.
Yeah, I mean, and it's apparent when you watch them. I mean, they're designing stuff into space, and I like the stuff they're doing with this offense. I mean, there's a lot more stuff over the middle of the field. It's you're seeing guys like Foster Moreau get involved more, and do you guys remember the 2020 season opener against the Raiders, that bootleg that ran the ball like 50 times and just murdered the Saints?
Yeah.
Like we're seeing like Foster eat on that same exact play like over and over. And I mean, look, I like the stuff he's doing. They're attacking every level of the field. It feels like there's more downfield stuff than there was last year in camp. And he's a talented quarterback who's going to look great in the setting. I mean, and he does. He should. And it looks like the offense is being picked up. And I mean, that's the only things that you can ask for, and it looks like it's being executed.
Hey, what about the other quarterbacks? You got 2 other drafted quarterbacks there over the last couple of years. What have they looked like so far?
I think Jake Haener looks great. He looks really good. He looks really, really confident. He's attacking down the field. He looks like he's in command of the offense, and he's making really smart decisions, and I really like how he's playing. I think Spencer's still kind of up and down a little bit. I think whoever gets saddled with that third team is in rough shape, and you even see it. Like there's a variance with Haener too when he's the third team quarterback for the day. I think it kind of hurts Spencer a little bit more, probably because he's just still picking up nuances of playing in the NFL. So when that kind of help isn't there, it's a little bit tougher. But I think he looks good, and I think he keeps getting better too. It's interesting just to kind of see that development. Right now, if you're asking me like who's QB2, if you got to pick one today, I think it's easily Haener. But I don't think the door is closed on that. I mean, Spencer's talent is enormous and apparent, and I think over time that could just keep developing and galvanizing or whatever word you want to use, and that battle could definitely become close like in an instant. But right now, I think Haener's comfortably ahead.
Nick, one interesting piece from a couple of days ago had to do with Taysom Hill, and it's funny because it's very easy. We always reduce things into very easy to understand morsels, right? It's like Okay, Kubiak coached with Shanahan, so he's going to bring the Shanahan offense here. The Shanahan offense has Juszczyk in it. He's a diverse weapon, and we have Taysom Hill. He could be Juszczyk. And it all felt so kind of surface level reductive and obvious that I was like, well, it's probably not going to be just kind of one-to-one. But then I'm reading about him being with the fullbacks during individual drill. He's talking about a frank conversation he had with Kubiak over the summer, which kind of feels like, look, we're not going to be throwing the ball with you, really. Maybe like a trick play or something here or there. But like, are they really starting to develop Taysom Hill in that Juszczyk role, like more one-to-one than you would have expected?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like at this point. And I mean, this system, you look at it, I mean, San Francisco ran almost 1,200 plays total last year, and over 600 of them came with a running back and a fullback, or two running backs, whatever, two backs on the field. Miami, 1,100 plays, 500. Houston was over 400, and then like the rest of the leagues are like 100. Like, They want these guys on the field, so that's kind of how they operate. And I mean, that's going to be Taysom, and yeah, Taysom is playing fullback and he's playing tight end, and he goes out there and it gives you that flexibility with the formation, the personnel, whatever. If they got the extra linebacker on the field, they might do one thing. If it's an extra DB on the field, they might do another. That's kind of how they use check. Like, maybe they'll put him in the backfield, maybe they'll split him out. I think it's not quite one-to-one, because I don't think that you want Taysom doing as much lead blocking as Juszczyk does. That's where I think like a Xander Horvath comes into play, where there might be two fullbacks that get a decent amount of snaps if you count Taysom as one. We've seen some stuff where Horvath is lead blocking for Taysom on runs, so that's kind of interesting too. But I think that diversified weapon that can kind of do everything is absolutely what it's going to be. He's practicing completely different than we've ever seen. I have not seen him practice once with the quarterbacks so far during training camp. Fullbacks are doing blocking drills. Taysom's doing blocking drills. I mean, I think it's absolutely set. Like, that's what it's going to be. We saw it a little bit in minicamp, and I kind of felt like, all right, well, we'll see how far into this they actually go. I mean, it's all the way in. Like, this is the role, and I think I think he's going to define the offense. I think he's going to be like the defining piece of the offense.
What's his body look like? Like, has he changed his body, talking to Taysom? Because if you're going to do the things that we're thinking he's going to do, like, he's a big guy, and he always has been, but I think even more so just to keep up with the demand that you're going to have on your body. And also, like, you want to have, some opportunities to be able to, an outside linebacker on a power, if that's what you're called upon. Like, you got to dig him out. And, like, I don't know that his body last year could do that. Well, like, is he looking different?
Yeah, so I mean, like, every time he's going for the quarterback thing, like he does trim down a little bit, and then like when he's not in that mix, like you kind of see a little bit of muscular gain, and he's talked about it before, just like with like the rotation of like throwing the ball, like it's just you got to be a little bit built a little bit different, and yeah, he looks like he's ready to block. Like, he looks like he's built out and not focused on trying to beat out Jameis Winston for the starting job. Like, there have been a few times where we've seen his body change like quite a bit, and I would say he looks like he could go play strong safety right now. Like, he looks like he's built. He looks like a fullback. I mean, he really does, and I think he's fully embraced the position. I think for the first time in his career, he probably knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing, which I think is probably a good thing for him too. I mean, one of his big complaints in like recent years is he coming in and just be like, yeah, like, whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do. Like, I don't really know. Like, I don't think it was ever clearly laid out. Like, this is what you're doing. This is where you're meeting. This is why you're doing it. This is how you're doing it. This is the role this week. I think he was waiting to get the game plan and kind of see what he was doing, and that's how he would roll. I think just kind of like knowing what he's buying into and what's required of him probably helps settle quite a bit. And I mean, I'm sure deep down he's still holding on to like, the quarterback dream, because that's how he's identified his whole life. But it does seem like the buy-in from him is really high. I mean, he showed up to OTAs. He never shows up to OTAs. So I think all the signs with him are definitely in the right direction.
Talking Nick Underhill of neworleans.football. Guys, go sign up for the site if you want to be locked in for all things Saints all year long. Him, Mike Triplett, and the team do a great job over there. Nick, let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball for a second. It seems like the early returns on Chase Young's health have been solid. I know he's been doing individual. Yesterday he does 3 team plays. Apparently he has a great bull rush. It sets up Peyton Turner. What's been your early scouting of Chase Young?
I'm excited, man. Like, you go out there and, not to be like camp hype guy, but like his get off is like distinctively different than everybody else's.
Yeah,
And
should be.
You just see it. It should be. I mean, number 2 overall pick. Like, he probably has the best pedigree of anybody on that line. Like, it hasn't turned into consistent production, but like the talent is apparent. And like, if you're just drafting somebody off traits, like, I think that guy's still a top tier pick. Like, you just see it. He's huge. Like, he's fast. He's powerful. All that stuff. When he goes through the drills, it's a little bit different. It's interesting to see like Cam Jordan too, also like tutoring him and kind of giving him like technique in between reps. Like, they're on the sled and he's, pulling him aside and telling him how to do something different. Chase 3 reps it, does it, a little bit better. So there's that ability to polish up a little bit here within a structure that I think is gonna kind of foster that environment, which I think is really good for him. The 3 snaps look good. I'm not worried about him at this point. Like, I kept hearing good things about his health where he was out the whole time. The timeline matches up with it. Like, I think we can pull like the if out on Chase Young. Like, he's playing week 1. Like, there's no doubt about it at this point. He's a real player. He's a real piece of this team. It's like just a matter of what he's going to do. I think the baseline for him is, I think you look at it, it's probably 7-8 sacks. Like, it works. Inconsistent player throughout his career. Like, that's kind of what he gives you every year. If he can find consistency, obviously it can be a lot better. But I think he looks good so far. I think he's had a really positive start to camp, just on the path that he's on.
Nick, we played some sound from Trevor Penning earlier, and I'm not really sure that I've really ever heard him in that setting, and it still feels like there's some confidence issues. What has he been like moving over to right tackle? Because as we know, I mean, the Saints absolutely have to have him step up for them to be successful now that Ramchek's going to maybe be out forever.
Were you like shocked to hear that he's talking about approaching the line like without a plan, like acting like having a plan going into the snap was something new?
It's yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing with there's 2 things. It's that, like, I talked to some people who worked with this offseason, and they said, like, the organization is something that really needs to improve and has improved over the offseason. I think part of that is, like, the pass rush plan, going up there, knowing what you're going to do, maybe cutting down on the menu a little bit. I was a little bit surprised, you get into year 3, like that's a little bit surprising. And then the other thing with him, too, I think he needs to learn how to, like, he's the strongest dude in the world, probably. Like, this dude could probably go, like, carry your refrigerator out of the house on his own. Like, he's that strong. He's that big. He's a massive human. I don't know that we see that on the field all the time.
Right.
And I think part of his problem is that he goes out there and he like tries to kill people, and you miss, and like you're vulnerable, and now you're getting smoked. Like, one of the things that I've seen from him that I think kind of stands out a little bit that I don't think we've ever seen before is that, like, there's kind of like this realization that he's this like massive human and he can just get in the way of people, and that can just be step 1. Like,
he doesn't have to over lunge or get out over his toes.
Yeah, like, you can just kind of be this huge dude, like, in the way of somebody else, and they have to go around you, and at least you can be a speed bump that way. And I've seen like a couple plays where like he's just getting one hand into somebody and just kind of, handling business that way. And it's like, yeah, do that. Like, not everything has to be a haymaker. I mean, you throw a haymaker and you're vulnerable. So there seems to be a little bit more control, but I would say it still kind of feels like 2 steps forward, and then like you notice 2 bad plays. And I think the goal now is like to get those 2 steps forward and just kind of maybe see 1, and then kind of, just keep eliminating them as you go along. I don't know that like it's going to be like Trevor's got it right now. Like, I think this is going to be a process that they need the full, what do they got? Like 35 days until the start of the season. I think you need all 35 of them. And if it's not there, I don't know. Is it Landon Young, Uli Udo? I think Lucas Patrick is probably going to win that guard spot over Nick Saldivari.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, but Penning is definitely still a work in progress. But I would say that if you're looking for reasons for optimism, I do think they genuinely exist. But like, I gotta, it's been 2 bad years, so I'm not buying stock on that yet.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.